The 2022 NFL Draft is just 2 weeks away, and Matt and I are going to play a little game here to talk about the top 5 quarterbacks in this class, whether we like them or not, and their prospects at the next level. You cool with that?
Absolutely.
Let's do it, man. Let's start with the guy at the top of all quarterback lists, quarterback from Liberty, Malik Willis. What do you think about him?
I like Malik Willis, and I mean, we've talked to Ellis about it on other Simple Question shows. I've watched some of his tape. This is a guy that has so much upside. If he gets into the right situation, sky's the limit for him. His ability to move and run with the football, his ability to throw both, short and the deep ball, which has been so exciting to see. As long as he can figure out the accuracy, this is a guy that's going to be, exciting to watch on Sundays.
100%. I think Malik Willis is the one quarterback in this draft class with legit superstar ability. Obviously, the dual threat ability is there. He's a freakish athlete, and Ellis talked about it too. Just his ability to create plays off schedule, get out of the pocket, elude defenders with his legs, and obviously make plays with his arms. So I think Malik Willis. I see Cam Newton, and I'm talking about prime Cam Newton that won an MVP. That's my comparison. That's how I kind of see Malik Willis kind of look in the NFL if he lands in the right spot. But how about the guy number 2 on a lot of people's boards, Kenny Pickett, quarterback from Pitt? What do you think about him?
I mean, I'm going to give thumbs up again because any time that you can go to Pitt and break Dan Marino records that have been there since the 80s when Dan Marino was there, I mean, you got to at least take a look at this guy. Definitely not the same kind of upside that you mentioned with Willis as far as being a possible superstar, but again, this is a guy that can come in, he can make the throws that you need him to make. You got to put a decent team around him, but in the right situation, I think he can thrive, and he also has shown an ability to move with the football and scramble, and that's always going to be something that you want in a quarterback in the way they play modern football.
Yeah. Pickett worries me. I'm not going to lie. Specifically, the small hands. Obviously, a lot has been made about the small hands. And obviously, Kenny Pickett's going to downplay because that's what he has to do. But it worries me. A la Jared Goff. They call him Tiny Hands Goff for a reason. That comes up in the NFL when you have grown men, linebackers, defensive linemen trying to claw at that football while you're climbing in the pocket. That can be an issue. And I think Pickett is probably the safest quarterback in this class, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to be great. And it certainly doesn't mean that you have a lot of upside, which I don't really see in Kenny Pickett. I think he'll be a fine quarterback in the NFL if he lands in the right spot, but I just don't see him ever being a top 10, 15 type guy in the NFL. So that brings me issue, especially when you're talking about him being a first-round draft pick. But let's move on to another one in Sam Howell out of North Carolina. What do you think about Howell?
I'm going to go thumbs up again. Sam Howell, I saw a comparison once that his upside is kind of like a Baker Mayfield, and I actually think that's fairly accurate, and you've seen the potential that Mayfield has had. I think that Howell could actually do a better job of living up to that potential. I mean, you talk about a guy that they said he had an off year. He still threw for over 3,000 yards and had almost 1,000 yards rushing. He's been very successful at North Carolina. That is an interesting offense that you have to learn and try and run, and he's been successful with that. I think this is a guy that can be a solid game manager and more game manager and then more positive rather than negative when it comes to something like that. And I think he can be smart with the football and have success.
I love Sam Howell. This is a very unpopular opinion when you look at most draft boards going around, but I think Sam Howell is my favorite quarterback probably in this class, not named Malik Willis. He was spectacular at North Carolina as a junior. Took a step back this past season when a lot of those playmakers that he had for his junior season left for the NFL, and that resulted in some drop-off. But this man has an NFL body. He can make all the NFL throws. He's definitely the best deep ball thrower in this quarterback class, and the athleticism is what makes me really fall in love with him as a prospect. This dude is really one of the best, ball carriers at the quarterback position that we've maybe seen in a few years. And I'm not talking about the best, but just in terms of what we think about him when we look at him and how we turn on the film and just the differences. This man broke as many tackles as Lamar Jackson did at Louisville in 2016 this past season. So a real sneaky athlete who can obviously get it done with his arm as well as his legs. So I really love Sam Howell. But let's move on to another one. How about the Cincinnati quarterback, Desmond Ritter? What do you think about him?
I'm going to go thumbs down just because I don't know if his game could translate as well into the NFL, and I don't know if he can get past those inaccuracies that you've seen out of him. His speed is absolutely unbelievable, but the question is that is he going to be able to go into a situation that'll actually allow him to grow and learn what he needs to learn? And I don't know if an NFL team is going to be able to do that, or if he's going to be in the right situation, because sometimes when it comes to these later round quarterbacks, it's more about who's the starting quarterback there, who's the quarterback coach, and all of that is just so tough to find the perfect setup. So I'm a little worried about him.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. And Desmond Ritter is probably the quarterback that I'm least sure about in this top five. But for right now, I'm going to give him a thumbs up for the simple fact that I think he's probably the smartest quarterback in this draft in terms of pre-snap stuff, knowing where to go with the football before the ball is snapped, and obviously, changing the picture as the defense's picture change and coverages and fronts and whatnot. And you mentioned being a later round guy, it's not necessarily going to be about the talent, because you're probably not going to start or be on the field early on. But, having the NFL brain and the mind to stay around and adapt to a scheme and kind of run the scheme the best it can be run, I think is important. I think Ritter has that. And he was a winner in college as well. Obviously, Cincinnati was great under Ritter's leadership. So I actually like Ritter. But we're going to close with the last one, the Ole Miss quarterback, Matt Corral. What do you think about Matt?
Once again, thumbs down. I just don't think the inaccuracies and the inconsistency is something that he can fix right now. He's definitely up there with Ritter as one of the guys that is I'm least sure of as far as the top quarterbacks go. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to, focus in on the accuracy part of it and get that deep ball to where it needs to be as far as the consistency goes.
Yeah. I got to give my man's Matt Corral a thumbs down. I loved watching him at Ole Miss. He was so fun to watch, but he's just so damn small. He has such a small frame, and running is a part of his game. He's shown that at Ole Miss. And I just don't know if he's going to be able to carry that over into the NFL when you got grown men trying to take your head off every play. And that worries me. Obviously, he ran a ton of RPO at Ole Miss, which has bled more into the NFL game, but that's not really what is run at the NFL, what is really successful. You got to be able to, again, walk up to the snap and know kind of where your plan is pre-snap and kind of adjust as the defense's picture change. And I don't know if, Corral did a lot of that under Lane Kiffin. Again, this is a Lane Kiffin quarterback. Lane Kiffin quarterbacks historically have not done so hot in the NFL at the next level. So it's just a lot working against Matt Corral right now, especially with the injury in the bowl game, which is obviously another question mark. So an exciting class nonetheless. What's up, though?
It is. And you got to wonder if he's going to be comfortable staying in the pocket and not take that instinctual I'm going to scramble, because he's great throwing the ball scrambling 100%. As well. But sometimes you see those quarterbacks, it's like Mitch Trubisky was much better on the run. You try and force him to be a pocket passer. You lose that accuracy. You lose what made that quarterback special in college.
No doubt. Can't wait to watch this NFL draft kickoff. Let us know who you think the best quarterback in this NFL draft is. Tell us if it's mad if I are tweaking. Let us know something. But catch us on the next episode of Simple Question for Scott Proctor. My guy, Matt Morris, right here. We'll catch you then.